So we are in what's considered Holy Week, that week leading up to Easter, and we are in the renewal season, the release and renewal. Sometimes I think we release so much we forget to renew. It's like we recognize all the things we need to take care of and forget about all the cool stuff. I want to start with a quote that I know you all know. It's from Marianne Williamson, but it fits at least where my brain's been. And just take it on again. I know we've heard it before, but it's worth repeating over and over. And that's: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within each of us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Releasing our deepest fears and recognizing that we are powerful. You know, we are the universe made manifest. We are that place. We are the perception of the universe here. And how you can't get any better than that, really. And where is our talent base for that? Are we really recognizing our personal talents and letting those shine? Or are we, in places that maybe we're put there because other people say that those are our talents and that's what we have to do, or we feel pressure to do certain things instead of what we know we shine at? In the past month or so, maybe a little longer than that, I've been asked by several groups of people to speak or do different things. And I actually went into a tiny little panic attack about it all, because I'm like, why me? Why should it be me and my words? Why, what's going on here that you want me to go and talk about this stuff to these people? Talk about grief and how to handle grief. Talk about how other people in spiritual pursuits, healing and mediumship and whatever, why would they want to listen to me about these things? And I did. I had like a little mini meltdown, and I wrote, I sent an email off to my teachers, because we should all have somebody that we can go have a panic attack with, right? and that's what it was. So by the time we met, to actually talk, after I sent that letter, I had calmed myself down. But I had to admit right away, I'm like, I was in full panic mode, because I was like, it's out of my comfort zone. And yet it's not out of my talent zone. And how often do we do that? How often do we recognize that we have this talent, but we keep it small or we don't fully share it because, somebody else, like their Marianne Williamson, has these pretty words and she said it great, right? That's amazing. And are we capable? And yes, we are. We are capable of shining our own talents in the best way that's greatest for us. There was there's memes and little silly stories and stuff on the internet. And there was one I came across this week. It was a person in the background. They were drawing and painting, and it was beautiful. And they're like, why should you spend money on this when you can spend money on art? And it's right. And you pour your heart and your soul in it. And then what was supposed to be the funny part was, and then, say that it's never good enough. And I looked at that, and first I'm like, that's just terrible to say about yourself. And then I saw the humor, and then I remembered my own artist son, who's sitting in the back, who always tells me that what he does is not good enough, or he didn't do it right after he has finished it. So I pulled him out to watch the clip. I'm like, look, and he looks at me and he's like, he got it, you know, he got it. But just because, you know, when we have a talent, it's to explore it fully and to recognize that maybe we don't like everything we produce, and that's okay. But that we keep producing and we keep expanding and we keep being willing to learn about our own talent. And we could have many different talents. It doesn't just have to be one thing, you know, and some of our talents will manifest in a way that we support our household, and other ones will manifest in a way that support our soul and our extracurricular activities, or however that is. And it's never, ever too late to explore your talents. How many of you know who David Duchovny is? David Duchovny. He's an actor, writer, musician. He's best known for playing Fox Mulder on the X-Files about 30 years ago. But about 6 years ago, so he's, in fact, I had to look up his age to see, because all of a sudden he's like, there's novels out and they're good, right? And he's on podcasts, and I'm like, all of a sudden it's like, the world is David Duchovny. It's like, it just keeps popping up in my, but I did, you know, I bought the novel. So you know how the computers work. They kind of like check what you've done and then give you more of that. And then there's music, but I looked it up. He's 61, which isn't that old, but sometimes we think that once we hit a certain age, then we don't do anything new, or we don't explore, or whatever, right? So this, you know, so he had an Ivy League education, and then he still is, he's a good actor, you know, he made his money there. And then 5-6 years ago, he starts writing novels and writing lyrics for songs. It's like, wow, you know, and I'm like, wow, it's never, ever, 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 you know, too late to add something else that you want to explore. And what I really love is his lyrics are amazing. He gets on these podcasts and he says, I am not the greatest singer, but I'm enjoying myself, and I'm exploring another part of myself that I never thought I'd be able to. And isn't that it for each of us? You know, who cares if you are the next Grammy winner at anything, if you're exploring yourself to the fullest, you know, and expanding on your talents all the time, and getting rid of those darkest fears. Because, you know, in the Marianne Williamson quote, she's right. She's right. We hold ourselves back because it's not in our comfort zone. And yet the metaphor is, you know, that seed's got to get through all kinds of dirt, right? Before it can get to the flowering stage. You got to get through all the dirt first. And if you stay comfy in the dark, you're never gonna bloom. You know, you could stay comfy, it'll be nice and warm in there, you know, but you're never gonna bloom. Or those of us that meditate, we know that when we first start our meditation practice, it doesn't feel comfortable at all. It took me and mine over a year to learn how to sit still. Crazy as it sounds, maybe not, because you know me, but it took me a year to learn how to sit still for more than 15 minutes to even get to a stage where I could let my brain relax, let your body relax. And that's not a comfortable, for me, that was way out of my comfort zone, because I had jittered, and I still do, my entire life. And to learn how to keep your body still. Other people need to learn how to move their body. It's the exact opposite, you know? And then while you're sitting there, the next challenge is all the stuff that goes through your brain. And, you know, and realizing that you have a whole lot of junk going on that you either need to pay attention to at some point, but not right now. And letting yourself know that it's okay, not right now, you know, and that's not comfortable. It's much easier to stay in an icky place that that we already know all the rules to. right? And maybe it's not icky. Maybe it's just super comfortable. You know, it's so much easier to do that. And to not face our discomfort zone, our fear. So in our release and renewal book for this month, there is a reading on releasing our darkest fears. And this we're gonna, if you'd use this as your meditation. This week that we call Holy Week, and we use it as celebration and prayer and meditation and and recognizing where we are at in our own renewal. Historically, for Jesus, it was a week of not knowing what the heck was going on, right? All kinds of political turmoil, people after him, what's going to happen. By Wednesday morning of that week, the story goes, chief priests and scribes felt so threatened and frustrated, they decided that killing Jesus seemed the only way to silence him and squelch his enthusiastic followers. Now think about this. Priests and scribes so far out of their comfort zone because somebody's preaching universal love and that everybody has their own track and their own connection to divine, right? They're so afraid of, in this case, power, right? That they're willing to use political means to end the life. I don't know that any of us get that crazy with our fears, but think about that. You know, how often do we not want to change or imagine another point of view, or to even recognize how powerful we are, that we do have a direct, intuitive line with divine, right? That we don't have to outsource that. Wednesday was the day a woman anointed Jesus's feet with extravagantly expensive oil. Oh my goodness. First of all, a woman touched some guy's feet. Let's just wrap our brain around that. At that time, that was like ludicrous. And I use this oil that's supposed to be sacred and expensive to touch the feet. You know, again, out of everybody's comfort zones. Like comfort zones are just like causing people's brains to explode the whole week long. Jesus defends her and says, you know, it's a gesture of love. And can we just take it for that? Can we take her point of view on this? It was a gesture of love, nothing more. Too bad you guys are outside of your comfort zone because she followed her own heart and talent. Meanwhile, Judas is making arrangements to betray him, and facing inevitable death may be one of our darkest fears. Yet we all will die. Most people choose to go about their lives doing their best, fulfilling their life's purpose, knowing someday it will end, but choosing not to live in fear. You know, the juxtaposition of knowing that our physical life is going to end, you know, gives us a lot of freedom to say, let's explore. And yet we get so tied up with, am I doing it right? Am I on the right path? When we choose the path, we choose it. Fortunately, we learn from this Easter story that death has no power over us, that our spiritual journey continues. We are able to release our darkest fears because we are more than this human perspective. We are more than this single moment in time. And yet this single moment in time is when we get to fully recognize our unique perspective of divine and to share that with others. Our souls are on an eternal journey, and our souls always and continually, the path is always back to the one. The path is back to that divine presence. We can never be on the wrong path. All paths lead back to spirit. It's, are we willing to honor the path in the greatest honesty possible for us and for our own talents? And we live in that faith and recognize that all is well. Luke 7:50. This is one of my most favorite. In fact, I was just telling somebody about this quote earlier, a few days ago. He said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." The part where the lady comes behind Jesus and touches his cloak so that she can feel better because she's really sick, right? And for her to know that that is a possibility for her to be well. And when that happens, again, the fear of people around them was, oh my goodness, a girl touched a guy again. Oh my goodness. And he's our guy. So what are you doing? And he said, no. And I'm not the one that healed her. It was she and her respect for her own path and what she knew she needed right now that helped her. Her own connection. And because Jesus was living to his fullest in his fullest talent, he gave permission for that lady and her perception to shine. And she became well. And we all can do that for each other. There was nothing that Jesus accomplished that he said that we couldn't do more and better and brighter. Nothing. Which means you all have that same light. And if we remember nothing else about this Holy Week, it's that, to shine in that realization that you are spirit as much as spirit is spirit. Amen.